right, so let's add to our area notes. We are going to do the last area for what we're doing this year, and we're going to do area of triangles. So hopefully you have this notes page, or if you were just writing it on a piece of paper, you could just kind of continue putting it on that paper if you want to start a new piece, as long as you get it written down, and make sure you draw the triangles and everything that I have up here will make more sense. So the area for triangles is base times height over 2. Now if you remember, when you have this fraction line, that fraction line means divided. So it is base times height divided by 2. Now I do want to show you one other way that you might see it. I just prefer this way because it makes more sense to me, and when I look at it, it just, to me, is easier. You might also see it this way. 1/2 times base times height. So there are some companies, some worksheets that might have it like this. I think when we take our state test and they give you those reference pages with some of the formulas, I think they have it this way, but essentially they mean the same thing. So essentially you're going to take the base times height, and then you're going to times it by 1/2. Well, timesing it by 1/2 is really just dividing it by 2. So I feel like this is just a better way to put that. It means the same thing, but if this is your preference, you are more than welcome to use this as well. Okay, so base times height divided by 2 is the same thing as 1/2 times base times height. Okay? So you're going to have to do a little bit of dividing, a little bit of long division. Your assignment for today is 3 worksheets. The first one is only 4 problems, only 4 triangles. So the deal I have is that the first worksheet, when you do the 4 triangles, do it without a calculator, do everything by hand. And the second 2, use a calculator. Okay? All right, so let's go back to our thing here. Okay, so and again, just like on parallelograms, your base and your height have to make that perpendicular, that 90-degree angle, that right angle. A lot of triangles do not have the right angle. Now, once in a while, you might have a right triangle, and then you could just use 2 of the sides. But a lot of them are not going to have that, so it's kind of the same thing as the parallelogram. You're going to have that, and sometimes some companies make that line dotted. Sometimes they make it just a solid line. But again, you're looking for the 2 that make that right angle. Okay? So our base is right here, the 11. So we have 11 times, and then our height, and again, on these triangles, you only have the 2 labeled. This is going to be a little more important when you maybe have all the sides labeled as well as the height. So today you're going to take the 2 numbers that you see. So our height is the 7. Okay, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to rewrite that here. So we had 11 times 7 over 2. Make sure that's, yeah. Okay, so 11 times 7 is 77. So essentially we have 77 times 2. When you get an odd number, you're always going to have a remainder. When you do it with a calculator, it's always going to come up as something 0.5. When you do it by hand, we don't want to do the remainder or we put it into a fraction. We want to keep it as a decimal as well. So this is how we would work that out. So I already know I'm going to have a decimal with a 0 because odd numbers cannot be divided by 2 evenly. So 2 goes into 7 3 times, which is 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. Bring down the 7. 2 will go into 17 8 times, which is 16. 7 minus 6 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. So I'm going to bring down this. And this is what's going to help me finish it up because I finally now have an even number. I cannot forget, though, to move this decimal up. But there's only one on that first page where you're actually going to have an odd number and you'll need the 0.0. All the others are going to be even, so they're going to come out exact without having to worry about a remainder or the 0.0. So 2 goes into 10 5 times, which is exactly 10. Now, I will tell you, when you put this 0 here, it's always probably going to come out to a 10 when you get to this point. So it's usually going to always be a 0.5. All right, so we found out our answer is 38.5. Okay, we are still on area. All area, it doesn't matter what shape, what polygon you have, all area answers are squared. So we are in yards. So 38.5 yards squared. Now again, because you're using a keyboard, whatever, a lot of times you can't get the little 2. And again, don't put the big 2 after it because that will automatically be marked wrong, okay? So you may have to do 38.5 square, SQ period, and then yards. Now, make sure, do not put if you're typing it out, this square has to come first. Okay, so if you're doing the squared with the little 2, you put it last, 38.5 yards squared. But if you're typing it out on your typewriter, the square has to come first, and then you put whatever it is you are measuring in, yards, inches, centimeters, whatever. So be careful with that you're putting them in the correct order. Okay, so there is our area of triangles. Again, your base and height have to be perpendicular lines. They have to make a right angle, a square corner. Base times height divided by 2. If you have an odd number, you're going to come up with a decimal with a 0.5. If it's even, it will come out exact. The first paper, do without a calculator. It's only 4 problems. The second one, the second and third, there's only 9 on each one. You could do with a calculator. If you would rather use it this way, you could use it this way. I just prefer that way, so that's kind of how I teach it. But this is the same thing, and you will see it this way on some of your papers, some of your tests, just depending on the company and how they do that. They do mean the same thing. So again, this is how you would do it. This is how it would work out if you have an odd number and you have to put the 0.0. Don't forget to bring that point straight up. If you have any questions, you can email me. If you want to set up a Google Meets so I can go through it again, or Miss H could go through it again with you, you can do that. Just let us know. So there you go. And this will be the end of area. We will only do these polygons, these shapes, and then we'll move on to 3-dimensional shapes. All right, so we will talk to you later.